ladies and gentlemen, to the Family Movie Night Podcast. Full stop. This is not a segment of the Not Great Parents Podcast. We have taken over this episode of the Not Great Parents Podcast. That's right. We kicked Molly out for the first time. The dudes are in charge. For the first time in history, men are in charge.
This might be a bad thing. Let's be clear. This might not be a good thing.
This is that middle segment of the Barbie movie where I stopped watching. Once Ken got in charge, I said, that's the end of that movie. I'm done watching. No, this is still the Not Great Parents Podcast.
This is my Mojo Dojo Casa House.
That's right. Molly has graciously agreed that because for this series we're in, the holidays make me crazy, we thought, hey, the holidays more than any other time are the time that families are going to have lots of free time to sit around watching movies. And in fact, the Family Movie Night Podcast, which was our first kind of family podcast here at the church, it started in the holidays, and we agreed, hey, we want to have a full-length episode where we can just talk about some movies that maybe you haven't thought of watching this holiday season with your family. And I am very blessed to get to be in this podcast with the hero of this podcast, Donnie Dorsey. How are you doing?
Quite well, sir. Quite well. Quite well.
Have you become a British person because it's the holidays and therefore you must become a nobleman?
It seems fitting. You have to be a nobleman. You have to prepare for all the milk and cookies and all the multitude of families and joy and cheer.
I do think you just said multitude, but we'll leave it there.
Trademark that. It'll be new.
Multitude, Donnie Dorsey. And of course, the villain of our podcast, the Scrooge himself of this podcast. But unfortunately, you don't get to be either Michael Caine Scrooge from The Muppet Christmas Carol or Bill Murray Scrooge from Scrooge. You have to be George C. Scott Scrooge from...
No, I don't. I can be Patrick Stewart Scrooge,
no,
okay?
You do. Sir, we have already agreed that Donnie Dorsey is the only knighted nobleman at this podcast. You do not get to be Sir Patrick Stewart. You must be ugly American George Scott.
Yeah, I mean, look, he won an Oscar. I'm not gonna badmouth George C. Scott.
There you go. Very good. Sawyer, how are you doing?
I'm good. I love Christmas movies, and we're talking Christmas movies, so I'm a happy camper.
And we covered a lot of Christmas movies in our tenure on the Family Movie Night Podcast, and we introduced some to each other that we had not seen. I had seen Klaus before, but Klaus has now become an instant classic in our home. We have to watch Klaus every year, and it really is a part of Family Movie Night Podcast. That's just an excellent movie. Were there any that we covered that you guys just have specific fond memories of talking about? I mean, we had Unaccompanied Minors and obviously Home Alone. That was our very first episode. Elf.
Yeah.
Jingle Jangle. That was a fun one.
That's the one I was trying to think of. I like that one. I love the whole musical element to it and things that. I love stuff like that.
That one's fun.
Yeah. So here's something that's interesting. I want to start by just talking about what are the movies when you think of Christmas? What is I call it your Christmas canon, right? Not like Christmas, like boom canon. I mean, one in canon. Like these are the movies that you go, it doesn't feel like Christmas until we've watched this movie. I'll start and just say, I asked my girls right before we filmed, talking about movies on the podcast, and in unison, they all said, Home Alone. You got to talk about Home Alone. But here's what's interesting, and this is what kind of came to something we're going to do later in the movie. I asked them, which one? And they said 2. Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, is their Home Alone.
Interesting.
They love, and I remember really loving the one because he's in the hotel, he's in New York City. That is a good one. I'm not taking anything away from Home Alone 2. Home Alone 2 is a solid home. It's probably the only good sequel to Home Alone. Home Alone 3 I would say is acceptable, but is not great. It's just tonally different. But Home Alone is the one in my family, my girls, that might be their favorite movie of all time. So, Donnie, what is your like? You gotta watch it. It's Christmas. We gotta watch it.
Well, it's definitely The Grinch, and This Christmas, and
yes.
It's just well done, and my kids love when we quote the Grinch's talking about his schedule. 5 o'clock,
Yes.
exercise. Like stuff like that. We just oh my gosh, we quote that all the time, and it's every time we watch it, it's just laughter, and it's just fun, so much fun.
That's really good. You know, I haven't thought about This Christmas in a while. That may be one that we need to introduce this year. I don't think we've watched that and with the kids. That is a fun movie.
It really is. Like so much, so many different things. There's so many elements that they approach, and it's just. I
mean, if you're going to tell me that Regina King, Delroy Lindo, and Idris Elba are in a movie together, I don't care what that movie is about. That's a movie I want to be a part of. That's a movie I want to watch. So. Very good. Sawyer Hewlett, what are your Christmas canon movies? What are the movies that doesn't feel like Christmas without them?
So this is difficult because I have 31 movies right here that I would say are Christmas canon to me, but I'm not going to take time to go through the entire list right now.
Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just call out a number and you tell me what's on it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so 31. So we're going to let's start with 31. What's at the end?
Trading Places.
Oh yeah, that does take place. I will say, not a family movie though.
Not a family movie at all.
For those of you,
not recommending that one.
No. I just know how parents and like once again, elder millennial Gen X, you're like, I remember that movie being lots of fun, and you sit down to watch it with your kids, and you're like, oh, this was a bad decision.
Yes, it would be. So that's exactly what my parents did. Just so you know.
Yes, that's always how movies were. They're like, I did not remember this was in that movie. So, all right, let's do this. 13.
When Harry Met Sally.
Oh,
does that take place at Christmas?
It's like
a fall movie.
It ends at Christmas.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, this is your Christmas canon. I'm not judging it. I was just asking. I didn't know how it.
I usually watch When Harry Met Sally at the beginning of December. So that it's more like a Thanksgiving-ish movie, honestly.
Okay. Very good. All right. And we'll do two more. So let's do number 22. Sawyer's having to count for those of you.
Yes, I don't have this thing numbered is the thing. The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Okay, that's on mine too. I'll say this, and I talked about this in our second episode of the Family Movie Night podcast where we talked about the Christmas Carol movies. I had never seen Muppets Christmas Carol before, and I fell in love with it, man. I just thought this was movie. Excellent Christmas Carol, and one of the better. I am a Christmas Carol-aholic. I love the story of Christmas Carol, and most Christmas.
I have 3 Christmas carols on this list.
Yeah, Scrooged got to be on there.
Yep, and Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Okay, I do not respect you, but you have lost all my respect at this point. I don't know what that is. I'll tell you this. I actually do think
it's the one that's about Scrooge McDuck.
Yes, I do think I watched that the year that my family moved into the house that now I live in. We had a little TV while we moved in at Christmas time. My mom was setting up the Christmas tree, and I have a distinct memory of watching that movie. So very nostalgic. All right, last one. Let's do number 3. What's your third?
Children of Men.
That's a great movie, and it does take place at Christmas. There's just
and it is about
the miracle birth of a child.
It is about the miraculous birth of a savior. Okay.
I'll just say this: don't watch that movie with your kids. Honestly,
don't watch it with your kids.
Don't watch it with anyone that you love or care about. This movie is dark and will make you. It will not make you think at the end of it. Oh man, isn't it great to be alive? It'll make you think like maybe this whole experiment was a bad idea. Maybe humanity was just a bad idea.
But it's so good.
It's a really good movie. I remember not really knowing what that movie was about. I was 17 years old when it came out. My now wife, Jennifer, and I were dating. We went to the Dollar Theater as a double feature. We watched My Super Ex-Girlfriend starring Uma Thurman, which was awful. And then we went to watch Children of Men and rode in silence afterwards for the next 45 minutes on the ride home. It was a good movie, but just, it's super dark. Okay. I will say this. Okay, I'm actually going to save this for my go to bat movie. Because this is going to be our next segment. So I agree with all the ones you guys said. I've got my own list of, I think I'm up to 38 now because not everything's available on streaming. So I'm going to have some alternatives. It's my fantasy draft of Christmas movies. We try to watch a Christmas movie every day from Thanksgiving to Christmas. Doesn't always happen, but we try to get close. But what we're going to do now is I want us to get an opportunity because really here's our goal of doing this episode. And like we said, we're in this series called The Holidays Make Me Crazy. And we know that the holidays do that. You're busy. You're stressed. You're trying to cram all these events in. You're trying to cram all these family functions in. You're trying to cram all your spending in, right? And you're trying to get that one perfect Christmas moment where everything kind of fades away and it made everything worth it. Well, you're not going to get that. That just doesn't happen the way that you want it to. But what you can do is, this is often a time of year where people are off work for longer periods. This is a period of time where you may have family in town and you're trying to entertain people. And we want to encourage you to make sure you have some time for you and your kids to just sit and do an activity together where people are not looking at their phones. I mean, that has always been the goal, or at least for the Family Movie Night podcast, is it's so hard with everyone having their own, YouTube accounts and TikTok accounts, and everyone has their own personalized, curated entertainment to everyone just sit and do the same thing, whether that's play a board game, no one's sitting and reading books anymore, or if it's, hey, we're all going to watch the same movie. We want you guys to do that. And here's what we know. When it comes to the holidays, you've already got your movies. You're upset we didn't talk about Elf. You're upset we didn't talk about It's a Wonderful Life, right? In my family, the movie, and I am not a fan of this movie, but my family's big movie is Four Christmases. And I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about like my family of origin. Everyone's like Four Christmases, and it's fine. I'm not upset about it. It's just not my movie. But that's weirdly they're like, this is what Christmas is. Four Christmases. So, you have your own. What we want to do is kind of do something a little different. We want to bring some movies out that maybe you have not considered, either because you're like, that Christmas movie, or I didn't know that was a Christmas movie, or maybe you've not even heard of it. And we're going to go present our case, go to bat for these movies as a movie that should now become one of your canon Christmas movies. I'm going to start because this was a movie I was just about to mention, but I realized I'm going to go to bat for my daughter on this. This is her movie. Every year she says, we have to watch this movie. And I don't know many other people who have seen this movie or would go to bat for it. It's the movie that you probably laughed about when you heard it. It's called Krampus. That's
what I was going to talk about.
Okay, well, now you're going to have to think of something else because here we go. Krampus is a really fun, and it feels like an 80s type Christmas movie. It's a little bit more graphic. There's more language. I would say this is probably a movie you're not going to want to watch with your little kids. But if you've got teenagers who are like, man, I'm really edgy and I don't want to watch Christmas movies because Christmas is too sentimental and, cheesy and all that kind of stuff. This is actually a pretty fun Christmas movie that is it is PG-13 and it's mostly for language and scary stuff. There's no sex in it. There's no nudity with the stuff that often comes in horror movies. This is about a family that has extended family into town. And the kids are just being bratty and annoying and all those kind of things. And Krampus, who is, for those who don't know, is like the monster devil demon version of Santa from certain Nordic countries, I'll say. I think Germany also has a Krampus thing, but I think a lot of there's a vaguely Eastern European or Nordic country grandma in this movie who knows about Krampus. Krampus shows up to kidnap the kids and eat them for being so horrible, but it really is about this family kind of coming together and remembering what matters most and all that kind of stuff while they are being destroyed by some of the best creature design monster in recent monster movies. I'm guessing, Sawyer, that's a big reason you like it, is these monsters have really cool designs.
I love Krampus. I love everything about Krampus. I think Adam Scott is really great and kind of a gross guy, but also it's just I love that movie.
I think it's really funny. Toni Collette is really good in it. Like, this movie has it just has great actors in it, being funny, being emotional, and it has because it's about a winter storm. For those of us in Georgia who don't get to experience a lot of snow, it's like there's lots of snow in the movie. It feels like a Christmas movie, but like I said, this is not going to be for your little kids. Though my little kids watch it every year. But I think if you got older teenagers that want to see, it's a fun kind of scary movie that will not scare them too much, but will make them laugh and have a good time. So that's my going to bat. I think you should try Krampus with your older kids. So, Sawyer, what movie are you going to bat for besides Krampus?
Yeah. So there is a good chance that a lot of people already watch this as a Christmas movie, but maybe you don't. Maybe your kids are just getting into those teenage years and you're looking for something to watch with them. I would encourage you to throw it back to the good old 1900s for this one, in the 1990s with Tim Burton's Batman Returns. Okay, here's the deal.
Good choice.
Here's the deal. Look, I don't know who watches this movie still. I know Nathan does. I know that I do. I know that I saw this movie way too young. This is just one of those movies that I think my parents are like, it's a Batman movie. Sawyer will like that. And they were correct. I loved Batman Returns. And now I watch it and I'm like, why was I allowed to watch this at 6?
Yeah, it does feel a little grown up but so does honestly the first Batman movie. This is definitely PG-13. Once again, there's nothing too inappropriate for your teenagers, but yeah, it might be awkward to watch. If for those of you who do remember the movie, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman licking Batman's face might be too much for your 5-year-old. But
yes, correct.
But you're teen. I think you're middle school, high schoolers.
And it's honestly the highlight of the movie is Danny DeVito as the Penguin,
who scared me to no end as a child.
Oh my gosh, there's a part where he bites a guy's hand, and it scarred me for life. But I love this movie.
It's the really best great. Batman. I still stand by. I think it might be my favorite Batman movie, and I know you're a Batman Mask of the Phantasm guy who comes out, and I really like that movie too. This one I love because it's the least Batman movie. It's a movie about Gotham City that Batman really happens to be a part of. The main characters are really the Penguin and Catwoman. Yeah. And it's just a really, I could not agree more with Sawyer, especially if you've got kids who like superhero movies. My kids do. It's
very different superhero movie from what your kids have seen.
But even though it's older, I think it'll stand up. Maybe not for like your 15-year-old who thinks everything is stupid. But I think if you've got 11, 12, 13-year-olds, it moves fast. And because it looks different than anything else, it still looks good. It just looks different.
I think even the 15-year-olds will be able to understand this looks very interesting compared. Because it looks so, it's in the name of the city. It looks gothic and dark and gloomy. Honestly, it looks like the opposite of Christmas, but that's kind of why I love it also. It's a Christmas movie that is contrarian. I'll say this.
I'll throw this out there. I think it's the reason that things at Christmas kind of work the way they do. There's something magical about Christmas, about the kind of midwinter feel of the trees look creepy because there's no leaves on them. They look sharp and scary if you're out at night. And if there's snow on the ground, the moonlight, it's like the ground itself is glowing. There's something a little creepy about nighttime at Christmas anyway. And so I think movies like Krampus and Batman Returns, they kind of play on that. And I think you get it. And so it feels Christmassy. It's just a different aspect. So totally agree. Donnie Dorsey, what's a Christmas movie you want to go to bat for as being one people should watch?
I'm so traditional when it comes to I watched a lot of the stuff that a lot of people tend to like,
Yeah.
when it comes to like Christmas movies. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a what I think would
Okay.
be something that I would go to bat for.
All right. Let's hear it. I like this. Good setup.
Iron Man 3.
Good choice. Good choice, Don. Good choice.
Yeah.
Good.
That's an excellent one.
All right. People
I
may
have
not
that on the list.
It's on my list as well of ones. Yeah, Iron Man 3. I think we're getting into some good territory here because this is one of the, I think, underrated MCU movies to begin with. I think a lot of people kind of like to poo-poo on this movie.
Yep.
So I like it. And a lot of people don't remember about it, that it is set at Christmas. And
well, it came out in May.
Yeah,
so
but I mean,
that doesn't help it.
Every Shane Black movie is set at Christmas. This one, though, has Iron Man making bombs out of ornaments. The at the end of the movie, there's a giant Christmas tree in the background. Yep. There's that giant Christmas rabbit he buys for Pepper at one point. So, Donnie, why are you going to bat for this movie?
I love the whole vibe of like the fact that you get to see this person who, because during Christmas, you kind of have two feelings. You're either really excited when Christmas comes around because it's the time where you're around your family, or you're like, oh my gosh, I have to be around family. And like in that movie, Tony is kind of, he's at that point where he's just by himself. Like he has to spend a lot of time dealing with like being lonely.
Right.
And I think a lot of people can relate to those feelings of Christmas not actually always being the most upbeat feeling in time. And I think watching those type of things, it kind of reminds you, it's like, okay, one, I'm not alone in how I feel and the things that I experience, but also, it's Tony Stark. He's so like, he's charming and all the things he does. And so you just kind of, you just fall in love with him and where he is at that moment as he kind of grows. And, it's just, yeah.
And honestly, I'm very nostalgic for that movie in terms of, it's one of the last times, if you're an MCU fan, if you like superhero movies, but you're kind of getting like overwhelmed with how much superhero stuff there is. Yeah. It's a time where this is a movie that's just about Iron Man. It's not about all the Avengers. It's not about cosmic battles. It's just about this dude. And, we're talking about holidays make me crazy. It's a dude who's dealing with panic attacks and PTSD and like learning how to, live with something traumatic that happened to him. So I was not expecting to talk about Iron Man 3, but good choice, Donnie. I am fully on board with that. I want to throw out one last movie here, and then I'm going to let you guys we'll wrap up with just some other kind of random fire. What are some Christmas movies?
Well, hold on just a second, because I got to say,
okay,
bringing up Iron Man 3, I have on this list, I have 5 Shane Black films on my Christmas movies list. And so,
including Lethal Weapon.
Yes, Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
Try to guess them.
Okay. You're going to have Lethal Weapon. You're going to have Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
Yes.
Iron Man 3.
Yes.
The Nice Guys.
Yes.
Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yep.
Everyone just like did the 30-second skip ahead on that second.
Yeah.
They're like, why are these nerds talking about? They don't even know. Shane Black was the writer of Lethal Weapon, who then went on to basically just recreate Lethal Weapon in 30 different ways. Buddy cop, Christmas movies.
At Christmas. Oh.
Yeah. And so, but all of them are excellent. None of those are bad choices. So I want to talk about a movie that I think might be, once again, this is more adult centered, just because of the topics that they deal with. There's a movie called The Best Man Holiday, which has become one of my favorite Christmas movies. And I was not expecting it to be this way. One, I had not seen the movie The Best Man, which is a 1996 a comedy. It's Malcolm D. Lee's, I think, directorial debut. He is Spike Lee's cousin. And he made this comedy called The Best Man. And it's about this group of friends from college who one of them's getting married, and all these things from their past and kind of their present start to come out. Well, I think it's like 15 years later, they make a holiday movie called The Best Man Holiday, which is all of them getting back together. And it's actors that you know and love. But like, because I hadn't seen the movie, this was at a time where I was going to see every movie that came out in theaters. I had Movie Pass, and I would go see every movie basically that my wife just didn't want to see. She's not really a Christmas movie fan. And we had not seen The Best Man Holiday. And so, I mean, the first Best Man, she goes, oh, well, you just go watch this movie. I was blown away by this movie. I didn't know a lot going in. It's a more old-fashioned movie in that the opening credits is just all that you need to know from the first movie. So even if you haven't seen the first one, you can watch this, get all the stuff you need to know. And I could not stop wanting to spend time with these characters. You know, you have great actors doing stuff. Morris Chestnut is in this movie, which is pretty much all that you need to know. But Taye Diggs is in this movie. Terrence Howard is in this movie. Harold Perrineau, who is most people remember him from Lost or Oz. He's great in this movie. But then, of course, the female cast is also incredible. You've got Regina Hall is in this movie. Nia Long, Sanaa Lathan is in this movie. This is just an absolutely killer cast. It's really funny. And then it's pretty emotional because some stuff comes out towards the end that's really powerful. Donnie, I see you nodding your head. So are you a fan of The Best Man Holiday?
Definitely a fan of it. It's like you said, everything you said, like it's an all-star cast, but it's just as much as the cast is perfect in their roles. The story is just so captivating and compelling because, like you said, you're quickly in a point where you just want to learn more about each of these characters. Like you want to have a deep dive of learning more about who they are, because like in some movies, like you wait till this certain character comes back on the screen, you kind of like not as focused. There's not a moment in this with that. Every character you are completely engaged with, like, wait, okay, we're going to get back to that, you know, and like you're paying attention to every little detail.
All the relational dynamics are good and you're wrapped into it by the end. And I just think, once again, it is R-rated, and I think it's R-rated primarily because of the content that's in it. And I don't mean like there's nothing visually, there's nothing that I think is too inappropriate, but it may be stuff you don't want to talk about with your kids because there's a lot of conversations that are had and a lot of jokes. But I think for you as a couple to be able to watch this movie and to have kind of it's sweet, it's romantic, it's funny, and then it's pretty emotional. This is a movie I always recommend. So let's get to kind of lightning round. Our Zoom meeting is telling us we have 6 minutes left to record. So we're going to be done quick here. What are just some movies you want to throw out? I'll just start with both the Paddington movies. First Paddington, I think, actually takes place at Christmas, but the second one, just because it's London, there's something about London that feels like Christmas. So both Paddington movies, watch them. You can't go wrong. Sawyer, you got some movies you want to toss out?
Yeah. I mean, I always kind of going back to the first segment, and I might have mentioned this one back then, but I can't remember. It's been so long since we talked about that. Jingle All the Way. Definitely one for me.
Definitely was going to say that one.
Okay. Yeah. I'll be in the minority on this one. Don't watch Jingle All the Way. But I will leave it at that. My other two co-hosts can go on.
I got Jingle All the Way on here. That's a great one. Okay. Here's a relatively unconventional one I could have talked about. The Disney Plus show Hawkeye. Good Christmas entertainment.
Yes.
I agree.
Let's see what else. Honestly, look, I mean, more obvious stuff. The Santa Claus, Tim Allen in the 90s at the height of his powers. What more? I'll leave it there. Those are some good things. That's some good entertainment.
I will say, I think the Santa Claus has kind of become, I think it's a canon movie for most people. At least the first one.
I think so too.
At least the first one. And I'm good with you having that on there. I'm just saying, I don't know how unconventional it is because I think most people.
Oh yeah, it's not unconventional at all. I don't think. Yeah.
Donnie, any other ones you want to throw out?
I'll throw out Arthur Christmas.
Oh yeah, I do like Arthur Christmas. That's a fun one.
I throw out Mall Cop.
Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yes, Paul Blart Mall Cop.
We watched that last Christmas. Yes.
Trying to think of definitely the Santa Claus is like when you said that I immediately was like on board. One that I I want to watch again, because I don't think when I watched it I appreciated it as much, is the Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you gotta watch that.
Yeah,
I know that's on
Sawyer's list. That's a Halloween movie for me, but I will accept it as a very good.
Yeah, actually, and also your family's one, Four Christmases. I actually love that one just as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a very. I think it's growing in its popularity. I think it and Elf are kind of like quickly becoming like top movies for people. Even though they're more recent. So here's a couple that I originally was going to talk about, but I decided to defend my daughter's choice of Krampus. There's a movie called Millions, which is on Disney Plus, at least it was last year. It's from 2004. It's set in a fictional British universe where the British did accept the euro over the pound, and it is the transfer of when you have to turn all your pounds in to get the euros. There's like a 6-month period where that's going to happen. Somebody robs all of the like millions of pounds from these transfer stations, and then they throw the bags as they're trying to escape. And this little boy gets the money, and he and his brother do, and they start using it in different ways. The older brother starts using it for all the fun stuff. The younger brother starts giving it to people who are in need. And it's a sweet and funny, and I just love it. It's really good. Another
movie.
Another one a lot of people have heard of. It's called Tokyo Godfathers. This is an anime movie about 3 homeless people who find a baby on the streets. This
movie is emotional.
Yeah, this movie is one of my top animated Christmas movies, and I think you should watch. Once again, even though it's animated, I think it's gonna have to be your teenagers and up. There may be some things that are just honestly about the world. Nothing I think that's like too inappropriate, but it's just kind of heavy. You may not want to at Christmas have those conversations with your kids, but I do think your teenagers will really enjoy it, and I think you will as well. And so I think we've given you plenty of movies, but most importantly, we really just want you as parents, as not great parents, to really pursue, hey, during this time, I'm not going to pursue all the greatness of the holidays, of trying to have more events, bigger presents, more expensive things, more lights, more XYZ. We're just going to have more time together as a family, loving one another and drawing one another closer to Jesus. And so we hope you guys have a great time doing that. And we'll see you next time on the Not Great Parents podcast.